Oh, is it daylight savings time? I have no fucking. Oh, I don't know. Sorry. Is it daylight savings time? I have no idea. So, what's on your agenda today, Mighty? What are you going to be doing? Drawing and avoiding the dishes. Yeah. Sounds like a plan. Well, I'm doing what I always do. Not always, but what I tend to do. I'm drawing a naked man. Because why not? Because I can, right? This is doing a drawing of Suraj, who we all know and love from our visits here. And Suraj has posed for me a number of times, and he's quite a really good model. And enjoy drawing him. He's not doing a thong, no. Oh, I'll show you the Harvard project if you want to see. I'm just wondering. Because it's a gift, not that I suspect the recipient of the gift watches my YouTube, but I'm a little worried that maybe that's the case. Maybe I'll send you a picture of it in a text on Instagram. Again, I'm pretty sure the recipient doesn't follow me here, but because it hasn't been given and it's a surprise, I don't want to ruin it. You know? but I really like how it turned out. I'm very happy with it, and I think the person that I'm doing it with is very happy with the decisions that we've made to that we made together to make this thing work. Um, I don't know if you can hear the noise. The cat loves stepping on the the plastic cover on the stairway that we have up for to keep the mold from killing us. And so the cat loves to play on it. I think because it's a little bouncy and it's also kind of noisy. So the cat enjoys the crackly sound it makes. So today, later today, Mighty, the Brussels will be on, and he will talk about the pens that he finally got from me. They took months, it seems, to get to Brussels from Boston, which is a little scary that it took as long as it did. But I'm glad they're there, and it just seems to me there's someone else I know that's a Brussels person. Who the hell is it? Maybe I can send them via, if I can get them to Europe, maybe sending them between European Union countries makes it easier to and quicker to transmit. Who the hell do I know? Who was I thinking of? You know, it really sucks when you forget. When you get as old as I am and you forget things. No. Well, you know, I do have a friend that lives in Germany who visits Boston, and maybe what I can do um, when next time he visits his family in Boston, maybe I can make him a care package or something, and he can take it on the airplane with him, and then be my little delivery man. You can be my personal um, Jeff Bezos, and get these things to the right place, maybe a little faster. You know, Luxembourg. Yeah. Well, this one was in. This one got to Brussels weeks ago. It had made it there, but for some reason the customs was just taking forever. And um, I was just hoping that customs wouldn't lose it, in a shelf and never be seen again. And so I'm glad that it eventually made it, of course, but it just makes me less interested in selling in selling to European folks because I just don't want to take the risk of having them get lost. You know? Well, it's it's a racket. Maybe I gotta get there. One needs their money, their shekels. Everyone needs their little bit of euro, their little pound of flesh. Oh, well, it's, the government knows how to do some things relatively well. And um, the post office is one of those things. I think that you should just let the government keep running it rather than private people. So yeah, I don't know what's happening with the post office here. I'm afraid I don't know what's what the deal is. I'm trying to think when Brussels wants to show his pretty face, his pretty pens. Let's see what he says. So he said late afternoon or early evening in Brussels. So it'll be maybe 5 hours from now. We'll do one. So keep that in mind. Keep that on your calendar. Put that on your calendar. Try something here. Um, Hey, Russell. I hate this lighting. I can't wait to get back to my dark cave. I can control my lighting better so I don't look like I'm sitting outside a supernova. Oh, it hangs. It's about all it does these days. Which reminds me of a joke. Oscar Wilde was quite drunk and staggering along a road in London and sort of disheveled and askew, and a carriage goes by and this grand dame sticks her head out and says, "Why, Mr. Wilde, look at you. You're a disgrace. You're disheveled, you're drunk. Your penis is sticking out of your pants." And Oscar Wilde looks up and he says, "You flatter yourself, madam. It is merely hanging."
Well, that joke made my morning.
Yes, it's a good one. It's a good joke. Well, you're looking as handsome as ever.
So about like a 3 out of 10.
Well, I would say 4, maybe. No, you're always looking bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, shall I say?
I think bushy is probably the best word for it at this point.
Yeah. You the way your beard works, it just reminds me of illustrations of the Three Musketeers. You know, there's something very whatever 18th century about your curls that you have in your beard.
My follicles.
Yeah.
See, in my mind, the descriptor or the comparison metaphor that I would make is like a fox that's been hit by a wave of static electricity.
Okay.
At least that's how I see it, anyway.
Well, it's just there's just a little tuft of your beard that decides to exit stage left. Where it's most beards tend to follow. I mean, some
tend to follow a straight line. I think what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think what is happening is that I have several different beards growing out of my face.
Yeah.
And each one wants to go in its own direction.
You have schizophrenic beard, multi-personality beard.
Yes, considering Mighty Mouse is saying that it's like that it's French, so I would say it's Jean-Francois Lyotard. In that sense, he wrote a treatise called the Society and Schizophrenia or something like that.
Okay.
He wrote about the postmodern condition and called it a schizophrenic one.
Okay. Well,
so I have a very postmodern beard.
I'll take your word for it. I was thinking of you today as I was listening to an audiobook of Will Durant talking about Assyria, and they're really funny the way he puts it all together, but he's not a historian, as we talked about. He's sort of a popularizer of, before they did the week-long miniseries about the fall of Rome on TV, he wrote those books that were equally digested beforehand and made a little bit more palatable for the American audience, but I really like it. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
He was the History Channel of his time.
Yeah, History Channel
Just
and
if you ever start hearing in the audio book, but were there really aliens?
yes, yes.
Then
Oh,
that might be the time to start discrediting him.
yeah, that and that asshole that's on the Alien Channel with his hair, his big hair. You
Yeah.
probably he just. I mean, he can't even keep a straight face when he's saying the things he's saying. He's like he's
No,
laughing out loud at.
I think he is quite aware of just how ridiculous he is.
Yeah, yeah. But it's. I love how almost every other word in that series is the word perhaps. So they don't actually have to
yes.
do any research. They don't have to get up their fucking ass to go open a book or read a newspaper or do an experiment. They just say perhaps and
Yes.
call it a day.
Some people think.
Some people think yes, UFO ufologists think. Well, name three. I want to know the names of these people.
No, Mighty Mouse. There's not an alien channel, though. At this point, it might as well be. There is a channel called the History Channel in America, and they are quite infamous. They are well known for having documentaries of dubious nature, like
Out of
Secrets
focus.
of the
Yeah.
Nazis. One in particular is called Ancient Aliens.
Uh,
Uh, there are several on Bigfoot.
yeah, and lots on ghosts, ghost hunters.
And
They take
oh yes.
their thermometers,
Although
their Geiger counters into an old house, and I
oh, and
sense
Pawn
that,
Stars and
huh?
Pawn Stars,
Well,
Pawn Stars.
you're actually at least looking at real things rather
Well,
than
you're looking at real things, but the people aren't like actually
smart.
doing real things around them.
No,
Like
no,
what's amazing is they insert those
yeah,
sitcom style storylines
yeah.
into all that.
But
It's like
here's the ghost ones are like this. So here, look at my finger. Look at what
uh
happens. See that? That little, did you see the little thing fall?
oh yeah, like you see the little speck of dust and it's
You
like,
see,
oh, I saw something. I saw it. Did you
yeah,
see
a
that?
little
I
speck,
saw
and then they
that.
put a circle around it so you can watch it maybe go something other than straight down. But it is a piece of dead human
It
flesh
is a piece of dust or
and it's moving around and then they, oh, did you hear that? Hear that? Yeah, it's a fucking board creaking because your fat ass is sitting on it. Of course it's going to make a noise. So, and then they stretch this out to be an hour long
yeah,
with
yeah.
commercial.
Because there's investigations to be done. There's theoretical histories to be
Yeah,
researched.
yeah. And then, and then in between, they have to have enough. It has to be long enough so that Tim Baker or Jim Baker can sell his tubs of survival food. Have you seen those?
Yes, yes, I have seen those. They look delicious.
It's a tub that normally would hold spackle. They probably just added food coloring and fish oil and a couple of pieces of bacon on the top of spackle. So
Yeah,
it feels like this food, this 20-pound bucket is going to keep my family alive during the end times or whatever. I thought everyone wanted to die. I thought that was the whole point.
yeah. You
Why
think
do you
like,
want?
oh, it's the end times. I guess I'll end too.
Yeah,
But you see, like one
what
of
do
the like I've listened to a bunch of people sort of reason on this on YouTube, and one of the conclusions that you come to is like, well, in the end times, only the best and only the most capable will survive, only the most prepared. And so all of these people that are doing that are making the assumption that they are the most capable and that they are the most prepared and most intelligent
And
and
most
that they
deserving
are suited.
of,
Yeah, like they're suited for living in a sort of society without any laws or
or
stable
supermarkets,
sources. Like,
supermarkets that they can go to. But the thing is, I
yeah,
thought the whole point, I thought of, I mean, just like the point of the Islamic hijackers that slammed the
it's
airplane
like,
building.
oh, finally, we're
That
all gonna die now, and now I can go to heaven. Yeah, you
now
think that?
it
I
got
don't.
all those virgins ready for me to plow or whatever. Let's and
Which reminds me of my favorite quote from the King James.
yeah,
It's of course, it's one by Samson, God's official dumbass.
yeah.
Um, and he does the whole thing where it's like it's a really bizarre story actually,
Uh-huh.
where he finds a lion that has honey in its mouth, just dead, lying on the road. And he tells all of these officials in his town a riddle about it and says, well, if you can guess this riddle, I'll do this and this and that. And then, of course, they go to Samson's wife and ask her, and she's not faithful to Samson. So she tells them about that the riddle, the answer was a lion with honey in its mouth. Because I guess that's the kind of a riddle that Samson tells.
I see.
I can't remember it exactly, but the line that whenever they Samson knows at least this one thing, that the only person he told this to was his wife. The only person who could have figured out this stupid friggin' riddle was his wife. So he hears these guys tell him the correct answer to the riddle,
Yeah.
and he says, and I quote, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." It's like, what the fuck, Samson?
I have to look that up. I have.
I may not have quoted it exactly
Well,
correctly, but
you
I
said
promise you.
you said exactly. So I'm going to test you on that. Now,
Please do that actually, because I'd like to know the story better.
so I have
It's
to,
about as good.
among the things that we have in our house that came from my grandmother's house are these Bibles. And the New Testament here to Wells Gustafson
Oh,
from
that was it, the KJV.
Grandma and Grandpa, Christmas 1935, and then my and I don't know if they took it back and gave it to him again for Christmas in 1936 or what. I don't know why there's little hashtags underneath, little ditto things underneath the year. But so Grandma and Grandpa, my great grandparents gave my father this New Testament in 1936. Okay, let's look at this thing.
Well, it's not going to have the story we're talking about.
Well, I know I've got this presented to
Okay.
Wilsons from Vine Sunday School, and it shall be with you, blah, blah, blah. Fred Couture, September 1938. So here he
Right.
gets the juicy stuff that you're talking about in the plowing.
Yes, the part of plowing with people's heifers and killing children with bears for calling you a bald head.
God in our home. To Wells Gustafson on his birthday, 1939, from Grandma and Grandpa. May God bless this little book and you too as you are study it from date as you are study it from day to day. As you, I know. So I don't think
Bless their hearts.
I don't think my father opened it up one time. Bible, Holy Bible with helps. What does it mean when it
Which
says
helps.
to Wells Malcolm Gustafson, Mount Olivet, 1942? So this is his.
What 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 are helps exactly?
They might be footnotes. I don't.
That's a term I have not encountered recently.
Well, some of them say with concordance, where all of this little bit on the inside here, that little in between the two verses, there's all these little numbers.
Ah,
You see that?
that'd probably be what they're referring to then.
Well, that's you often see, and those are things that refer to other books of the Bible where you can look for
Yeah.
another verse like it. And Prayer Book for Boys, to Wells from Grandpa and Grandma, 1937. So I'm surprised that I didn't grow up as a missionary or something. So I'm going to go to this one. This is a Holy Bible without helps, but it still has those things there. But what it is
There's no
missing,
helps for it.
what it's missing are the footnotes. So I think the footnotes here are antiquated terms like or leader or pasture lands. So the word heifer would, on the bottom, it would say or slut or wife hyphen slut, wife slut, right?
Yes.
So what is this, Ender?
It would be in Judges, I think. I can't. I'm not well versed on the Bible, pun intended.
Okay.
So I know it's the story of Samson. Let me look it up here on the internet.
Song of Deborah. Barak and Deborah defeat Sisera. This is just nasty.
Here.
Joshua's death.
Honey riddle. Samson's riddle.
Okay, what book is it in?
Okay. It was a riddle that appears in Judges 14:14. And the riddle that I'm seeing on Wikipedia is out of the eater, something to eat, out of the strong, something sweet. Let me see. The riddle was impossible to discern with deduction alone. Who killed a young lion and found bees and honey in its corpse? Here the answer to the riddle is as follows. What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion? Judges 14 and 18. The Philistines, who couldn't solve the riddle, extorted the answer from Samson's wife, who persuaded Samson to tell it to her.
Okay, tell me where 300 foxes and firebrands. I'm not interested in this. Okay.
Oh, that one's a good one too. He's trying to get rid of the Philistines, so he attaches torches to these foxes' tails and sets them running free in their wheat fields.
Okay, I found, and I don't know how many times I have to propose to you, but soon my knees are going to give out. So you're just going to have to accept you just assume that I'm doing okay.
Well, it says right here.
Let me put forth a riddle unto you. If you can declare it unto me within 7 days of the feast, and find it out, I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of raiment. But if you cannot declare it unto me, then ye shall give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of raiment.
This is the Bible, people. These are people betting clothes on riddles
and raiments.
Like,
yes.
These are the stupidest people in the world.
I need to look.
Well, no, I can't say that.
This is the one that has help. So I was just wondering, if we needed help in understanding what raiment was.
Okay, so actually on Wikipedia it says, let me see. So 30 soft undershirts and good suits, chalifa. This is quoted from Rediscovering the Old Testament Seed of Abraham Ministries.
Okay. Out of the eater come forth food, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days declare the riddle. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee in thy father's house. Oh, that's nice.
Wait a minute. So yeah, this is starting to make a little bit of sense.
Unless you do this.
You
thy father's house was fire. Have ye called us to impoverish us? Is it not so? And Samson's wife wept before them and said, Thou dost but hate me and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth the riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told it to me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told my father or my mother. Shall I tell thee? And she wept before him 7 days. Okay. See, this is how I would get bored long before I get to the point of the story. Now, how do you manage to keep going?
She's weeping before she's literally crying at this guy's feet for 7 days, man, over this riddle, because she's afraid that her own people, the Philistines, are gonna burn her parents' house down.
What is
and burn her parents with it, you know?
And he said unto them, I'm sorry. And the men came to the city and said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, what is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. So it doesn't.
It's like
mince
the
words.
woman's trying to save her parents, man. The woman's trying to save her parents. She cried literally in front of you for 7 days, and you call her a heifer for it?
Yes. Anyway, I guess it's full of all sorts of exciting stories, and if I should read it someday.
Like, a lot of them are absolutely ridiculous.
Well, like that one's right up there at the top of the list.
That one's one of my favorites.
But it's still ridiculous.
But still, my favorite story that I'll never ever stop talking about is one of the classics. Is Moses leading the people out of the desert, and the golden calf. My favorite part ever is the part where Yahweh basically sees that they're worshiping the golden calf and sees that they're engaging in idolatry, and he's like, "No, I'm not standing for this. Fuck it. No, fuck it, Moses. I'm doing the Noah thing again. I'm breaking this whole rainbow promise." And Moses has to talk Yahweh down from it.
Yeah.
Which is just the most hilarious thing. Okay, the most perfect being in the world is getting angry at you for worshiping a stupid statue. And it's like, what the fuck is this? I'm overreacting, but I find it absolutely hilarious, and really, it makes Yahweh a lot more relatable. To be honest, it's like, shit.
Well, yeah, and he's interested in making a deal. He's
well, not... I mean, if you look at the Old Testament, that's all Yahweh is doing. Like, he's Donald Trump's vision of what God is.
Yeah.
He's a god of deals.
Breaks promises. Yeah. Gets huffy and stamps out of the room with lightning bolts, turning people into barbecue.
Well, killing firstborn sons and
turning wives
sending plagues on the people, and getting all pissy about an angel telling him, well, if you hadn't given this guy all this wealth, maybe he wouldn't like you so much. And then taking away all that guy's wealth and turning him into essentially a leper. And yeah, I mean, he's a really emotionally vulnerable guy. I am worried about Yahweh. I have concerns. I think he needs to go into
group therapy. He and Thor, I think, have the problem. Then they can just, they can settle, work with,
He and Thor and Zeus, all the father gods are really just terrible, shitty people.
Well, that's
So
Loki. Well,
in that
Thor's just
context, I think Western society is fucked up because we all have inherent daddy issues.
I can't wait to see that special on the History Channel. Russell Facemeyer just discusses on the History Channel just right after Ghostbusters.
Like the title of it will be America's Daddy Problem.
Yes, God, America's daddy problem.
It could be either a segment on the problems of Western society as I described them, or prostitution.
Yahweh, you weigh, we weigh. Russell weighs in on Yahweh. How's that for a? Is that catchy enough?
I don't feel like History Channel would be clever enough to come up with that.
No.
By the way, Mouse, I've heard that statistic about 60% of Americans believing in angels before. I don't know whether that still holds true today. I'm not certain.
I just want to say though, Mighty Mouse, no one ever called me on the phone to ask that question. So
yeah,
often when I do get people calling me on the phone and I start listening to their questions, I know where they're going with what they want to know. They want me to say I believe in abortion, or I believe in Donald Trump, or whatever it is. I know that that's where they're going because of the first two questions they're asking. But they ask them, how much TV do you watch a week? I don't watch any TV. I don't have a TV. How much news do you watch per week on TV? And I said, I told you, I don't watch TV.
I don't have a TV, so.
And they say, well, I said, just ask me the question you want to know. And they say, sir, I have to ask these questions at this, in this order. And then they ask me a question, even though I've already told them I don't have a TV or something. They ask me a question that doesn't involve a TV. And it's clearly the wrong answer. I didn't answer the thing about gun control the way they wanted. So they say thank you and they hang up. So they don't even count me in. The question that they ask at the end, do you believe Democrats are trying to take your guns away? I'm already removed from the list because I didn't get that question. They took me off.
Well, you're not a valid statistic since you didn't agree with our viewpoint.
I'm already. So I really think that it's like, Trump rallies where they only let Trump fans in. Of course, they're all going to be cheering. And the one person that snuck in, he's beaten to death. So it's just, it really sucks. So 60%, they didn't call me. Now, if they asked 60% of people when they said, yes, I believe in angels, and then you asked, do you believe in the tooth fairy? And the question might drop a bit. Or if they asked, do you believe in the tooth fairy first, and then ask about angels, then the question would have been all different, I think. They probably.
Yeah, because if you propose something that's completely ridiculous, like the tooth fairy, and then put something that is somehow less ridiculous, like angels, then people are going to be more willing to say, well, I guess I could believe the slightly less ridiculous thing.
Yes. I don't know how they would have gotten that. They could have just asked that question outright. Do you believe in angels, to someone walking past us on a street corner? And, they're late for their dentist appointment, and they, yeah, sure. Fuck you. Get out of my way. But anyway, it's so
But then, of course, it also does come down to which percent, 60% of which people, right? Just like you said,
60% of people walking down a street
walking down Fourth Avenue in Tennessee on a Sunday morning, let's
yes,
say.
wearing really nice clothes. You know,
Yes.
or
Do you
what?
believe in angels? Do you believe in angels?
You know.
Do you believe in angels? Oh my lordy, I do.
God. Uh, Something about what you just said reminded me of, and I thought of this the other day. I was walking back on Sunday morning or Sunday, it was afternoon actually, walking back to my house in Boston, and this tow truck was removing a car from a parking spot, and across down the street off stage to the left, I could hear this clump, 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 and this voice, stop that, stop that. And then I finally saw her, and she was a rather full figured woman of color wearing very loud high heel shoes and carrying a Bible in a purse. And I was at church. I was at church. Don't tow me. I was at church. You know, and as if being at church allows you to park illegally. And it was Sunday. You know, there was a lot of parking spaces. You didn't have to park, you know, in front of a fire hydrant or wherever the hell it was. But I loved her idea that because she was at church, her responsibilities to be a good citizen were absolved.
We're fulfilled.
And you know, take that Bible and kneel on the middle of the street and pray for a lightning bolt to kill the tow truck guy or something. If you just anyway, I don't know what made me think. Yeah, oh lordy, yeah, she believes in angels, but unfortunately, she has to believe in tow truck men. So
Well, you remember for some reason this makes me think of this, but you remember the rise and fall of the city of Mahagoni,
right,
the
I know.
opera that
Yeah,
I talked about.
yeah, Kurt Weill. Yeah,
There's one scene where basically this guy, the main character, in the version I watched, it was like oh Jimmy something, but he's accused of all of these things, of murdering his friend, of doing, you know, all kinds of various things, and they have like this mock trial. And every time, like, they say, well, you murdered your friend, and they say, yeah, but then there was this and this, and they absolve him of all of his crimes. But the one crime they can't absolve him of is not paying his debt of 10 cents to the bar owner.
oh dear,
So so he gets executed for it.
oh dear.
So it's like, yeah, even despite how good of a person you are, we're still going to take all your money from you if you do not pay. What in the world is this?
Isn't this cute?
That's quite precious.
Look at
And that
that.
is you as a child.
That's me as a porcelain baby, 4 pounds 5 ounces.
Con il tuo culo.
And then my parents took my very first challenge drawing from second grade and turned it into a plate. My God, this, and I see the name of the company that made this, where you could, you know, this is probably on the back of Reader's Digest or Life magazine, where you can take your, take your child's drawing off the refrigerator and turn it into a plate. So this is the first challenge drawing I did in second grade, where the teacher made some marks on a paper and you had to turn it into something. So I turned it into a boat. And the name of this
that's a really good, nice drawing, I got to say.
Thank you. And this was made from a company called Young Rembrandts. Isn't that cute? Something New York. I don't know the name of the town, but Young Rembrandts. But they did a really good job of. I mean, it's not an actual piece of paper. They somehow took a color photograph or color transparency, and put it on a piece of ceramic and then fired it. So it's pretty cool.
Well, it's sort of like there was one company that actually did a copy of Rembrandt's Night Watch in ceramics.
Okay.
It reminds me of that because of Young Rembrandts.
Okay.
But actually, if you did that plate thing right now, that would sell like hotcakes.
I'm sure that there's probably a company that does that. I know that I was at a birthday party maybe a decade ago that was held in a bowling alley in Boston that was closing. It's a very small bowling alley, maybe 4 alleys, and then had a big bar and kind of a pizza place. And they had plates that you could color on, and they would then have them laminated or done something with to make them permanent. And so I imagine they're still around. And I would love to make a set. What I would do is with watercolors, I'm having fun with watercolors now. I would just watercolor, the bits and pieces of what you normally, it's like the mosaic under the Roman banquet table with all the scraps of food and the cat, eating the fish bones and stuff. Just make the plates all look dirty, so you never have to wash them. Or you assume that they're all washed. A little bit of gravy, a little bit of, there's a piece of hash brown and some bacon. Sounds good, huh? Like that? I can see that.
No, I actually don't like that.
You don't like that? You don't like that idea?
Oh dear.
Well, I won't get you a set.
Yeah, I'm not like a germaphobe or anything, but I always like to have. I hate having dirty dishes in the sink myself.
Okay. I'll have to change my ways when we get married. I'll have to learn.
Yes.
I promise.
We'll have to domesticate you.
I promise that I'll change. Just say yes.
I'll change for you, baby.
I'll change for you, baby.
Hey, Stella!
I know that you have lots of stories to tell me about things, and I don't know, because they probably involve actual students. We probably shouldn't say them on this channel, but we'll talk about it on Skype.
Yeah.
Unless you want to change the names and pretend you.
Here's
a story a friend told me.
I mean, none of them would really necessitate me, even giving a name.
I see. Well, keep them fresh. They'll turn into a art piece of yours somewhere, sometime, I think.
I'll put them in the fridge instead of, letting them linger on a plate, which I do not know, which I do not know if it is washed or not.
Okay. Yes. Well, one could also make the plates look like they were cracked and glued together or something. I could make, it's my faux realist routine that I like. I've been having fun with watercolor, trying to learn to use more than 2 colors.
Mm-hmm. Mighty Mouse says student puppets. So make puppets out of after students.
Yeah. And
But you're operating on a higher plane of watercolor now.
yeah. I'm going to get more coffee.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
See, I'm not certain how I would represent the students. Because I'd feel bad if I did like a student, a puppet of a specific student. I don't know why I'd feel bad, but I'd feel bad about that. So I would probably have to make it as generic as possible. The grade point average here is like 2.78 because we accept as many people as we possibly can, frankly. Not a bad thing necessarily, because these days in America you need a degree to get anywhere. But if their grades aren't subsequently rising. Well, I'm just recounting. Oh,
no, nothing. You talk.
I'm just recounting how our school could be doing a better job, but
I see.
in terms of education, of which I am not in control,
and in terms of COVID pandemic,
speaking of which,
the sports teams can continue to play sports because they're following the 6-foot guideline.
Yes. No, actually, one of the stories is that we have a whole dormitory set up, right, for quarantines, and in this dormitory, somehow, even though our cases are actually really, really, like, they're way down, I don't think we have any positive cases that I know of right at the moment. There are no rooms left in that dorm that they can use. And we had one positive case that came, and there was like this whole big panic because at the last minute, because this student came in, he was positive, and so I had to make sure that there was room at Riverfront here, that's the apartments I'm in, to house the kid, because they could not clean, or they did not clean any of the rooms at the dormitories. And I had to struggle to find a clean room here. Yeah. Now, see, I don't know whether it's just because the school is used to operating on a thing of, oh, well, we'll just clean them all during the summer. But I frankly think it's just because they're not staffing maintenance.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I had to run up and down the hill a couple of times.
What are you? I want to do another drawing thing with you. Maybe just the two of us without Sally. Not that I don't like Sally. Sally I like. But it would be fun to do another side-by-side doodle fest sometime.
We can do that. I should have some time today. I don't know whether you want to do a certain subject or we can just draw what we want.
We can draw what we want, I think. I know that around noon-ish, my time, your time-ish, I'm doing a side by side with the guy from Brussels who finally got his pens, and he's just going to go through the pens that he got and talk about why he likes them. And then,
Okay.
but maybe later on in the afternoon we can do it. I I might. I don't know what I'll draw. Maybe I'll play with watercolor a little bit. We'll figure it out.
I'll probably, honestly, I might just end up working on one of the unresolved projects that I have going, if that'd be okay.
That's fine. Is it a puppet one or a painting or
No, it
what?
wouldn't be. I would actually be drawing,
Okay.
probably either one of the desert drawings, or I also have more of the graveyard drawings. I've been wanting to work on those because um oh, what, they're the ones that were really elaborate and only black and white, if you
Uh-huh.
remember them.
Yeah.
Uh where you commented on like the positive and negative space in
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Well, I ordered prints of those, and I showed them. So the reason that I want to do more of them is because I think they could possibly sell a few, because my dad saw them and even he liked them.
Even your father.
Even my father,
Yes.
and he is not a connoisseur, we'll say. I told you the story about him at the gallery with me.
No, I don't think so.
I didn't. Well, essentially, it was the one where I was in the show with the birds,
Yeah. Oh,
and well, the thing was birds, right?
yeah.
And of course, he goes in there and he sees all the artwork, and some of it's directly about birds, and some of it just features birds, which was their one thing they asked, that it feature birds.
Yeah.
And he says, some of these, it just looks like they put birds in it, and without even thinking about it. And it's like,
Yeah.
yes, Dad, that's because they had made those works before, and it just happened to have birds, and birds were at the main point. But then, of course, there were two nude sculptures,
Uh,
right, that featured birds. One of them was a nude man, and one of them was a nude woman. And of course, he looks at the one with the nude woman, and he says, "I don't think people are going to be looking at the bird."
I see.
And so yeah, my dad may be oh, what is it, a judicial expert, we might say,
Yeah.
but he in terms of artistic vocabulary, he sort of is on the same level as your average plumber, I think.
Yeah.
But I have to say though that in effect he's probably right, because
I
especially because the woman was very large compared to the bird, and frankly, if there's a naked lady there, I think it's going to attract more attention than a songbird, right?
Yeah. Now, which was bigger on the man? It was the man was bigger, and it was his
His bird or the bird? So it was a man, and he was looking sad, looking down at a dead bird, and of course the title was Mourning Dove.
Oh, that's right. You told me about that one.
Yeah, I told you about that one. And yeah, of course he was larger than the bird
Yes.
in the sense of his full figure. I didn't look closely. See, there is no problem, Mighty Mouse, with looking at naked bodies, but in America, we do have that stigma of nakedness not being appropriate. But this one sort of grated on me, because Tamarack, the place that featured this, specifically states on their website, we cannot accept nudes or any like explicit content, you say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so it's like what well, why does this guy get a free pass?
Well,
But
unless
you know,
the artist could say, well, the bird died naturally rather than having been fucked by this guy, or something. So there was no
that's
explicit. Hey, Schiavello, how are you? Um, I love the other story about art with your father that I remember you telling me is the artwork that he purchased from a prisoner because the
oh
like you, was that right? Is that how that worked?
so it's interesting. He has hanging up in the house three drawings, and they were done by a person from prison who was in prison. They're of historical figures, and one of them, James P. Sutton, he says, "Well, it looks so much like you."
Uh-huh.
And
He was
I
showing you
mean,
the
that's
picture.
the
You
main
could see
thing.
that there was a little bit of a. I could see why he might say that.
Yeah, I mean, there actually is a resemblance if you look at the drawing. I don't know where the guy got his source for the drawing, but uh I mean, the really fun thing about that story is he has those drawings by a prisoner up in his house, but I have nothing in his house that is hung up.
Well, take him out of your will. That's what I would do. Leave him out of the will.
I'm not gonna. Well, yeah, I'll take him out of my will then. I have to write a will. Will you be a witness?
As long as I get the teeth.
Fine, you can have the teeth. If I die, you can have all the teeth I own when I die.
Okay. No, no. I,
Yeah.
I
So
am joking about like loving your teeth, but it's a nice, uh, well-known uh, shtick that we have with the teeth. Um, there are other things of yours that I would much prefer. Your puppets, your drawings. I think I'd even
I think the
love
teeth
your
would probably get you more money.
your collection of. Here's my brother.
Hey, Russell.
Hi, Peanut Brother. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Just cooking for this person.
Yeah, I'm gonna soon. Matt will be the one that's cooking for me. So, uh, um,
What are you having there?
well, it's there. I'm looking at what I'm having here. It's bread that was sort of fried, along with ham, and I don't know what else is in here. I think we're cleaning out the refrigerator.
Ah, I see.
Um, so I did a job for Harvard that I finished yesterday, and I was not going to show it, but I will show it. But I'll eat first. Um, this was a job for a woman that I had worked with for a decade or so, doing um, artwork that was given to donors that gave millions of dollars to Harvard, and as their thank you gift, rather than getting an ashtray that said Harvard University or a little plaque or a calligraphed document that would be hanging on their wall, we came up with a plan where I would essentially look down at a tabletop and it was all covered with various books. And the books would be open to a map of Harvard Square, Harvard Yard, and another one would be a book opened and you'd see the Harvard seal, the Veritas shield, and then on the facing page was the picture of John Harvard. And then the other books in this sort of still life would deal with the donor's interest. And it might be what the donor gave the money for, or it might be what the donor made his millions at. And so they were very personalized still lifes, I guess. And
So with any of these still lives, was one of them like the bones from a starved child working the gold mines in Africa?
we never did that. That was never.
Okay.
There was one I did. These are people that gave money for the upkeep of the various dorm houses that they have on campus. So there were, I think, 5 different dorms. And again, half of the drawings, I would do these on pen and ink and scan them in and then add and subtract different things on the sort of base drawing to make them personalized. So one dorm had a they had an actual theater in the house, so they would do these choral pieces at Christmas. They do Handel's Messiah, and another one had a very individual library in the dorm building, so that was listed or shown, featured. And then there were, FDR lived in one, and Teddy Roosevelt was in another one. So there were ways of connecting the history of the thing. Well, one of the dorms was occupied by Zuckerberg, and I thought a book showing the Facebook logo being flown in a basket carried by a stork. The birth of Facebook happened in this very dorm, but Facebook at the time was under scrutiny by the government for censorship or not censorship, or so they were so I had to remove that idea. That thing had to be taken out, replaced by something boring. And I said, well, I'll just remember this when Zuckerberg wants to give you $5 trillion. I'll let him know that we took him out of this thing, unless you give me half of that trillion or whatever. So anyway, the whole idea was pretty fun. I thought the idea had wings. Well,
it did have wings if it was flying.
It was flying. The idea of the books, though, is a way of showing individuals' interests at Harvard, and so for her, I said, well, send me a list of the things, and I do one for her, and I ended up saying, I really don't want this to be like all the other things we've done. I want it a little different. So and then the name of the woman is Lucinda. So that's all you need to know right now. I'll finish this and show you.
Okay. While you do that, I'm going to go and powder my nose.
You go powder your nose. I'll be right back too. evidently my dish was not completed, so Todd just threw a fried egg on top of it now. Schiavello, how are you doing if you're still here? Oh no. Are you in lots of pain? Oh, so
Okay.
so here's the Harvard coat of arms, right? Veritas, which means truth in Latin. So I created this one for Lucinda. And this is, and she evidently wears these fascinator hats at commencements where she's somewhat in charge of programs that happen, including commencements every year. In terms of the graphic design elements of sending out invitations and stuff. So I have the shield wearing one of her fascinator hats, and which is again very heraldic rather than a crown or a knight's helmet. We have the hat, and then in white lettering, it talks about some of the achievements she was part of. So the inauguration of 2 of the Harvard presidents. There's some things that I don't know what they refer to, but I asked them to reduce them to 1 or 2 words. And then there were some things that I, like she evidently went to a store in Harvard Square called Pronto and would get salads every day. So there's her salad in her Pronto bag. And some Friday the 15th was always an important date for them. I don't know why. And then she always used black wing pencils. So I decided to draw a black wing pencil at the bottom, and I asked permission if I could sign it. So the pencil is signing my name. Normally I don't sign these things, but because this is an original rather than a digital created thing, I figure, and because I get along really well with Lucinda, I thought that she'd appreciate my actual name on it. So anyway, it was a fun project. I'm glad we.
I mean, I think it turned out real.
Yeah, and it's with most of the things that I do, it's not obvious. You have to study it and turn your head back and forth and get up close. And I think that she'll like it.
I'm sure she. I mean, it has her favorite salad in it.
It has her favorite salad, and I just like her name instead of Veritas because it's just sort of poking fun at this big fancy college.
Yes.
And everything. Any more nibbles on future jobs for your upward mobility, or are you?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I honestly haven't been. I haven't been thinking about it quite as much recently.
Well,
Probably to my detriment.
I think it's fine. You know, this is a weird time to, I think, be looking at anything. I think it would be better for you to stay where you are for a year or two longer until the COVID crisis gets out of our consciousness and we see what's left. I went to I went to visit my friend Marshall in Minneapolis yesterday, and he lives, or his office is in an area that has, you know, crossroads of two kind of important streets. So there's lots of restaurants and businesses. There's an Apple store. There's a really nice used bookstore. There's movie theater and Urban Outfitters and a McDonald's, and you know everything that you want there, bars and stuff. And it seemed like 2/3 of it was closed down and boarded up, and that really, I haven't really been anywhere in a year and a half other than Union Square to see what is happening now. It sounds like this place was being renovated, so there might have been some legitimate reasons for some of the one particular building to be shut down, but the fact that there was so much other buildings also closed, that was rather scary. So
Yeah.
you know, at the end of the day, when everyone is vaccinated and trying to get back to work, there may not be work to go to or money to spend on sending your kids to school and or anything else. So your job,
I mean,
the job you have now, at least is a job.
yeah, as a job, it might not pay the best, but you know, it gives me free housing. It gives me health insurance.
And it gives you,
I'm in a stable position, which is so much better than a lot of other people in my generation right now.
yeah, I think so. So my advice would be do what you're doing for the money and the insurance and the housing. Try to do as much art as you can, which it seems like you're very productive. And then
I try to be. I'm
your
just bad at making. I'm bad at making people aware. I think I'm productive, but please, I'm sorry. I interrupt too much.
And the other thing is, I know that you like to teach. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about how to do watercolor, and I try to not watch the ones on how to draw pretty flowers, though I needed to watch those because I don't know how to draw pretty flowers. But I do watch a couple of other people, and they're really good at watercoloring, and they tell me important things that I need to learn. I just wish that they would paint interesting things. You know, the Italian street scene, the boats pulled up on shore of the fishing village, and the farm in the distance surrounded by snowy fields is a little done, a little trite.
Yeah.
You know, alligators in the swamp and tents on the Western Front and naked soldiers swimming in the battlefield puddle, I think is more interesting. And well, yeah, don't say like that. It's.
I'm sorry. I don't mean. I'm currently inking a page, and so
Yeah.
you know I'm listening to every word.
Yes, it was
But-
just your like, okay, of course, Peter, you like the naked boys swimming in the puddle. Yes,
Oh no, I wasn't
I do
thinking
like,
about. I wasn't thinking about that actually. I was thinking about violent bleeding
yeah,
rather than erotic dreams,
okay,
I guess that's a product of me being an American.
yes.
But
Anyway, the idea of the, for lack of a better term, the trite subject matter that somehow you really see a lot in watercolor, and you don't see so much in oil paint, I think. It's probably because watercolor is easier for the weekend artists to do, maybe. It's
yeah,
you don't need to have smelly paints and a big easel and a studio. You just need to have a tabletop and a glass of water, So
exactly.
so
And watercolor, it began as well. I don't know that it began like that, but it gained a reputation very quickly as an amateur's art, right? As
you know,
just
I
something that ladies could do.
I know that when you look at, uh, I always was surprised that watercolors were considered drawings, in museum
Mhm.
catalogs and stuff, but they were used as that. They were used as studies for, a real quote real painting that
Yeah,
was
for oil
done
paintings.
by later, and I I and of course because they're drawings, they're loose and a little unfinished, and they don't have the pretensions of being quote real or serious, or but but they have a freshness that the paintings don't have. So, and it's the but the other thing that watercolors have, Mighty Mouse is saying Tio Yi Chi does scenes of Singapore, very cool. There are many artists that do really good watercolor images. Um, Often they are street scenes. Uh,
Mhm.
there's a friend I sold some pens to who does Parisian architectural stuff, and he does it very well, sort of in the John Singer Sargenty manner of just implying detail with crisp light and dark, um, and not actually counting the number of balustrades in a balcony and things like that. Um, and you know, counting the number of volutes in a column or whatever. Uh, but he knows the quote trick of implying detail loosely. He knows the, I don't want to say trick, the technique of letting the ink bleed, which is a perfect way to render wet pavement. Of course,
Mhm.
but they're really good at what they do, but there's something that seems, it almost seems too sweet, or saccharine or something. It doesn't seem, it borders on being tricky, you know.
Yeah, I think when you're dealing with the street scenes and all that stuff, you know, they're doing watercolor tutorials, yes.
Yeah,
So
but
you
I think
have to think
so.
you
I
have to think what Granny Sunday wants to paint in her kitchen at home, right? Unfortunately, she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to do like a hyper realistic version of John Tennille or a figure study of a little person in watercolor. No, she wants to do a vase of flowers, or she wants to do, like, I can't tell you, when I was teaching my college course
yeah,
of painting for non majors,
yeah,
like 3 times when people came up with a painting they wanted to do for the copy project, they came up with the same image from online where it's a painting of like 2 people holding hands at a sunset walking down the city street, and
Uh,
it's all very pretty and it's all very colorful and splashy. It's cliche, but that's what they want.
yeah. Well, you know, to find to copy something that's on a Christmas card or a the Thomas Kinkadian uh, idealized neighborhood or whatever is, you know, people think art is pretty, therefore the thing that I draw has to be pretty, and I want to make pretty art, and that's as far as they think, I think. Um, but anyway, I'm trying to learn the tricks of watercoloring. But I want my subjects always to be what I normally draw, which are chaotic interiors or gloomy alleys, not the nice fancy street in Italy, but the gloomy alley where they throw out the, you know, sausage parts.
The sprezzatura and where there's somebody who's going to try and cut your purse off of your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah. So and I'm not looking for things that are ugly, but I find it's very hard for me to draw something that's pretty and make it retain its prettiness. It's easy for me to draw something ugly and make it look pretty. So I'm just a lazy fuck, maybe. So, but
well, I mean, it depends on your definition of what you like, of what you think beauty is, or at the very least of what you like looking at.
or my definition of the word fuck, a lazy fuck. I'm a lazy fuck. Now I like to find interesting compositions and relationships between things that I see that are that show some sort of order in the chaos. I think that's kind of what all of my drawings are about, is showing order in chaos, and but still having it seen as chaotic, I guess. And so I like copying.
Actually, taking something,
I'm
something
reading
that
Mouse's comments. Mighty Mouse says, I like copying early Kandinsky.
oh yeah, that, like, I wonder how early she's talking about. Probably before he went full abstract,
Yeah.
because before that he was doing things like inspired by folk art, essentially, of Russian fables.
Yeah. And what about Paul Klee? He's another interesting character. And his drawing style is all over the map, and his painting style is all over as well. Very fresh and
I always
childlike to me.
liked folk play.
Yeah. There's a picture of him as a young German soldier that I fell in love with. Let's see if I can find it.
Literally or figuratively?
Well, I thought it was very cute, and I thought I would like to know him. Not necessarily in a biblical sense, but
Right.
throw that
Not
in.
you didn't want him to be your heifer to plow.
No. Okay, I want a picture of him, not the picture of his art. Paul Klee artist. Let's see if I can find this portrait. No. Oh, there it is. Oh my God, he reminds me of. There's no wonder I sort of like him, because there's this other guy someone I know that sort of reminds me of him. But I'll show you the picture. I can't find the one that I like. But I'll see if I can find it. Imagine this picture, Russell,
Oh.
except he's wearing a spiked helmet, a World War I spiked helmet. So how can you not like that?
I guess it depends on which country you're coming from.
Yes, which trench you're in.
Yes. But
there's a guy that I know in Boston. He's one of the radical fairies, and I want to find a picture of him, because I suddenly think, oh my God, it looks just like this guy. So let me see if I can find it. I'm trying to find a good image. He looks a little angrier here than he is in real life. Let's see if I can find a better picture of him that's not so angry. And we'll see if I think he actually looks like Paul Klee. I see him. Okay, Paul Klee, soldier, D-I-E-R. There, I found it. Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ready to see my little slideshow here? So let me turn the camera around. So here's Paul Klee.
Uh-huh.
Here's my friend in Boston.
Oh.
Kinda.
Yeah, your friend in Boston's a little better looking though, ain't he?
He's pretty cute. And then here's the one with the spiked helmet.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that one looks a lot like this guy, I think. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so
It's the gaze, that intense sort of
yeah.
I'm ready for I'm going to try and look like I'm ready for anything kind of gaze, you know?
He's his name is Gideon, and he's if you see him if you look him up on YouTube, you see him. He's a journalist. He works for the MIT. There's an MIT technical magazine that he is the editor of, but he also worked for these other international economic things, and he's pictured. Are you looking him up or not? I mean, you don't know his life. Okay, you might be doing something else. Anyway, I looked him up, and I looked under videos, and he's on Good Morning America talking about Obama's economic policy. He's on another video speaking with the president of Malta, and he's on another video giving a lecture in Russian, in Russia, and another one where he's giving a lecture in Mexico in Spanish. So he's very good at what he does multilingually. So, but anyway,
That's the sign of a dedicated journalist, though. What's
yeah.
his name again?
His name is Gideon Litchfield.
Okay.
Gideon Litchfield. Litchfield.
Oh, I found it. It showed up actually. Here he's got a talk at something called MTech 4 months ago, talking about unleashing radical creativity. And there's his channel right there.
Yeah, I mean he's an interesting character, and
he's a radical fairy. So all the better.
He's one of the radical fairies, and since COVID, we haven't had our radical fairy potlucks, but he and I have had, we meet for lunch and walk around the block and chat about the people we know and stuff. Anyway, he's an interesting character. He's from England. He's born in England. So he has an English accent on top of it, and but also knows all these other languages, and so.
But
so anyway, back to where I was with you with the YouTube thing. I think a lot of these YouTubers a couple of these YouTubers anyway, have a Patreon thing where they, in addition to doing their free videos, they will offer for their Patreon supporters, they'll do specific,
like private lessons and chats.
They're private, they're critiques. He'll critique them. I don't know if he does them privately, but I did see one guy who showed a picture, and all of the people that used that photograph to draw from, to do a watercolor from, he will then show them and then critique them. And the variety of results are various, as you can imagine. He generally says nice things, though. If he doesn't, he'll find one part of a picture usually and talk about how nicely the shadow looks or something, but I just think that you might have a fun time doing that, where if you somehow develop a following of people that love to draw or paint or do puppetry or do anything, you could sort of do what I'm doing here, where you invite them on StreamYard and you talk and draw with them. I think people would find it fascinating, as long as you stick to a script and maybe make them 20 minutes long so they don't go on for 2 hours and 18 minutes like this one has so far. I think people would really find you and your encyclopedic knowledge of the Old Testament and your crazy clump of interests that you have, and also the way you can draw so differently. I would think that you could easily find other younger students or older, they don't have to be young, I guess, that would be willing to share with you what they do and be interested to hear what you say. So you'd be a teacher without having to deal with administrative issues like
Yeah.
which classes, what time slots you're going to teach your class, and how much money should be allocated to this teacher versus that teacher, and all of the nonsense that goes into working at an actual university. So you'd just be teaching and showing, and you could give assignments like you were with your kids, and you could still make them. You could make one for kids too.
I mean, what I'd probably end up doing if I do that is probably just trying to make it as all ages as possible.
Okay.
But the main thing is just, finding the spare time to work on my own projects and then do videos and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm sort of part of it. I could find the spare time if I decided I didn't want to cook every evening and do like a few of the little things I wanted to do every evening. But
Well, I mean, one can. I think that I know the videos you made for your distance learners were very time consuming because you also had to do a lot of editing and splicing things together. And if you maybe did something that was more static for much of it, and then plugged in
yeah,
to the end or the beginning something that's a little jazzy for people,
what I
like,
would say,
you know.
what I would definitely say is that, it's definitely something that I'd like to do more of. And I probably will at some point. It's just I've got to actually make the time for it. And probably I would be making it easier on myself, like you say, if I just decided to do something more static instead of trying to have all the jump cuts and do all of these little tricks.
Yeah, I mean, you could let's say you just found 30 slides, 30 images online, and you um, record your thoughts about each one of them. And then you could, in the middle of your demonstration, you could cut to a select from those 30 three things that would sort of fit in your shtick you were doing. So you don't have to record those. You just take them from your uh, folder of stuff and plug them in just to change the scenery a little bit. Um, um, I just think that uh, all of the time that I do watch people like Peter draws, where he does the drawing, photographs it all, speeds it up, and then he has to do the dialogue on top of it, tape it later. And I thought, oh God, then how much longer is that going to take? Whereas I think that there could be a way where creating these things might be a little faster, maybe.
There might be. Um, Ultimately, no matter what, it's going to be an investment of time.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but I've also got to look at, like, in terms of what time I invest in where.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to look at, like, what's going to be what is going to earn me the most, or what is going to be most rewarding for me in the end.
Well, I think, I've been doing these YouTube videos a lot, and when I do them about pens, and I specifically focus on one pen or a model, a type of nib or whatever, I do find that the comments that I get, even if it's just saying, I love your videos, or I love the sound of your voice, or I love the way the pen makes a noise on the paper, or whatever, all of that is a little um, pat on my little balding head, and I really enjoy that. And if people then type also that I've really learned a lot about blah 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 from your video, that really makes me smile, because I feel that I am actually teaching something, or making people see things differently. I'm not really teaching them, but I'm allowing them or giving them the idea that you don't have to appreciate a pen only because it's was made in 1942,
Mhm.
has this nib that can do this really fun stuff. And then when you get people that are actually really connected in drawing or writing or calligraphy or whatever in the same way that you are, then you, like has happened with you and me, we become friends.
Mhm.
And that can happen as well. I mean, a lot of the Instagram people that I've been following, whether they be journalists or um, uh, artists, it's really neat getting into their spaces and their creative outlets. So I think you would
I
find,
know. I mean, that's the reason I'd want to do videos in the first place. Just um, because I enjoy so much what other people produce that I'd want to take part in that conversation.
yeah. So I
Like
think,
I said, it's just something that I'll have to work on,
yeah.
at some point.
Well, I think if you were to take, like, I'm just trying to think of one of the assignments that I think would be uh, enjoyable by people of all ages. And one of them you did was the color map running around the house looking for an orange thing and a green thing and drawing a map of the house. And a, a even an architect who designed the fucking house that they're drawing might have a hard time doing what you were asking a grade schooler to do, uh, to to have a visual idea of what the house looks like from above, of the plan of a house.
I honestly, I was overestimating my audience on that one,
Yeah,
because
well,
that was for the really young kids,
yeah,
and I
but
learned in the actual classroom, how much you actually have to give to them in
yeah,
order for them to understand.
yeah, no, that was pretty high up there. And Mighty Mouse is saying fish. She likes our fish, my fish, and like the
Mhm.
fish thing, that is something that a kid could do, or an adult could do, or drawing your house. You can be an inside of the house, it could be the outside, it could be the yard, it could be the street, it could be the building, it could be, the dining room table, it could, whatever you think a house or a home is, that you can draw that, and you can show examples of interior spaces, uh, drawings of more architecturally rendered things, a Piranesi sketch. You could show all sorts of um, samples from quote real artists, and in your your own drawing, you could sketch out 4 versions of how you might represent the assignment. When you do that, though, that often gets people to copy your assignment, which is always too bad. But I think that that would be something that I would enjoy doing, as well as a kid in second grade that likes to draw.
Hmm.
And you can dumb it down enough that the child uh, in second grade would understand 90% of what you're saying. Uh, you don't have to go. I would avoid going into art theory, which is another thing you often did in your classes about the banana. The banana as a banana, as a value, as a thing, and the economics of art and memeing and all. That was a lot of stuff going on there that I think your graduate school supervisor or whatever the word is might find hard to juggle all the things that you were saying. But you know what I mean, I think. So
Yeah, maybe my conception of what is or isn't easy to understand is sort of distorted, but
well, that was pretty abstract, that banana one. You know, it
Mhm.
was, I mean, you weren't talking about how to draw a banana, or you weren't talking about how to use a banana to make a puppet out of, which could be understandable, but it was about an artist who took a banana and hung it in a art show, and it completely went into the economics of the art world, which is a dark place in the brightest of days, you know. So so I think it would be fun to to pick a topic that you think a lot of people would like, and then try it out as a video, and then um, I could certainly follow, and maybe Mighty Mouse might, and I've got another couple of friends that might be willing to be your students for a Zoom video or something, and see if you like the idea.
well, I'll figure out something.
Okay.
I'm just trying to keep I'm trying to keep myself on one project at a time,
Okay.
which I'm not doing very successfully right now.
Can you show us what you're doing?
I'm just trying to finish um that's another thing I'm really poor at posting on Instagram. Just because I'm trying to finish this thing up here.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Because I'm hoping to get a series of these done.
Okay.
I'm basically what it's going to come down to is I'm going to have to put something on hold eventually.
Yeah. Well, there's only so many hours in the day, and a way to gain some hours. I know you like to cook and you like to eat, but if you made a week's worth of something and eat that for a week, you don't have to cook it. You know, you the the cooking time, the preparation time would go down. But I know that some people love to cook, so I don't want to take. You don't want to take anything that you're enjoying off the plate, as it were.
Yeah.
Off the table.
And I'm not going to suffer under the illusion that I'm going to be like a star or a great artist. I mean,
I don't think you need to worry about either one of those things. because that's not the right way to
No.
look at these. I think it's, but if you enjoy doing them, even if you have an audience of 2, you still are enjoying it. So I think you are talking from privilege, your room, Mighty Mouse says. Oh, yes, my roommate makes my dinner. Yes, see, I'm very lucky. But he gets to use my kitchen, so there's a trade-off there. If he wants running water, he has to make something for me to eat. I'm hoping that soon I will have some money back coming into my hands so I can start paying him back. Not that he expects it or wants it, but anyway. So at noon-ish my time, Brussels is going to show off the pens that he got from me, and then maybe sometime in the afternoon we can do another drawing thing. Can you, Russell, if we do this, can you aim your camera down so we can watch you paint as you talk?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. I just think it would be more interesting than looking at your shoulder and your cupboards, as lovely as they are. But I don't want it to be distracting to you to do that. But
No, it's not that big of a deal.
you sound sad now. I don't. You were happy in the morning 2 hours ago.
Well, you know, one of the things that capitalism does is it robs you of all of your time, right? That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I appreciate having a house and being comfortable, but I don't have very much time, and what time I do have sometimes gets eaten up. Like yesterday, I had to do the shopping and all of that stuff, and I went out and visited my parents for lunch and all that because you know, they're family.
Yes.
And when I got back, I thought, well, I still have some extra time before I have to do anything else, so I'm going to work on projects. And then, of course, one of my office workers, I'm just complaining now, but one of my office workers says, I'm having excruciating back pain 30 minutes before my shift and I can't come in. So then I had to go on, like, I had to take an hour of that time. I won't ramble about it because I don't like to complain.
It does suck when.
All I'm saying is that at a certain point, I just like to have time for myself, and I need to learn how to prioritize that. I'm not. I'll still draw with you, I suppose.
Okay.
I just need to know which I'm just trying to figure out for myself which projects I need to stop working on and which I need to focus on.
Okay. Well, let's not. I won't put any pressure on you at all. I'll text you and say, would you like to do a drawing thing for a half hour or whatever? And we can, or we can't. That's fine too. I actually have things I need to start doing for my departure from here. I'm taking over the upstairs bedroom to sleep at because the downstairs is going to be renovated, and I need to move. I don't have that many belongings. I have a suitcase's worth of clothes that I'm going to try to put in order, and I have to move my brother's stuff out of the way anyway. So I've got things I need to do as well, but If we
I'm sorry to sort of dump on you at the last minute. I don't
no
mean
no
to.
no don't be silly, Russell. Don't be silly. It's we'll and also I do want to hear your stories sometime, but maybe we can do that on Skype where we don't feel we have to uh, censor ourselves a little bit like we
If we do the drawing session, it would be something to fill up the space, won't it?
yeah. Okay. Well, I'd like yeah, I mean it's fun to I like how our conversations when we are drawing rarely stick to the subject of drawing. They go all over the map, and we can talk about plowing heifers if you'd like. So anyway, well, you be good, and I look forward to seeing you perhaps later today, and if not, I might also be doing a drawing thing with Apollo today.
Mm-hmm.
Come to think of it, he wants to do a group thing on the Zoom thing, so I may show up there just to add a warm body, a warm pencil, as it were. But anyway, well, you be good. I'll talk with you later. See you later, Mighty, and anyone else who's in TV land.
Yep. Ciao, ciao, everybody.
Oh, bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.